half of these guys, and the ones I do know are way past their prime. Most of these guys never had a prime. This guy here is dead.
Cross him off then.
Good evening. Welcome back to another edition of the That's Your First Mistake podcast, where we talk everything and anything there is to know about the Cascade Classic Fantasy Football League. I'm David Benson, your host here. Joined with me today, the usual suspects, Eric Williams and Commissioner John Zoller. What's going on, boys?
What up?
Living the dream as always.
It's been a
I'd
couple
like to
weeks.
give a now you go ahead. I was going
LaCroix?
to advertise
Okay,
for
yeah.
LaCroix water actually, but
Sure. Yeah.
one of our sponsors.
Yeah, the sponsors. Thank you, LaCroix, for sponsoring this video.
Thank you, LaCroix.
It's been a couple weeks. Last week, obviously, things didn't quite work out. So we kind of got a lot to talk about here. Got a lot of matchups. Going to talk about the standouts, letdowns, and then a little bit of COVID talk, just rocking the league currently. So a lot of stuff to talk about. But we can go ahead and jump right in. We'll start with standouts and letdowns from week 3. So didn't get to make our projections and talk week 2, so we got to skip right to week 3. Let's go ahead and we can start with our standouts and letdowns. John, we'll start with you.
Standout was me getting my first win. Letdown was me getting my players injured. It's all about me.
Interesting. Week to week, nothing changes. We, thought an extra week to think about it would change that. Clearly not. How about you, Eric? What do you think? What stood out? Let down to you?
Standouts, 49ers are back even after all those injuries in week 2. They have some viable fantasy options now. I saw Steven picked up Wilson, and Kittle is going to be back this week. So that's going to be interesting going forward.
Wait, Jeff Wilson?
Yeah.
I dropped him.
Yeah, well.
Welcome back to That's Your First Mistake.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not the most potent offense in the NFC West, but finally an offense that you can start to look at fantasy-wise. So
yeah, I agree. Mullins going to be able to pick up where Jimmy left off, Eric?
Yeah, I think so with Kittle getting back. And, I mean, the defense is so good that even though they do have injuries on the defensive side, they're going to be competitive every game and going to be putting up 30-plus points a game, I think.
It helps having that tandem at running back. Those guys are pretty solid. That helps out your not as experienced quarterback. And then having Kittle, yeah, that's big, having him back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Mullins is going to be a fantasy option, but he's at least going to be able to move the offense. So other guys on that offense are still going to be viable fantasy-wise.
Yeah, agreed. Did you have a letdown?
I mean, Lamar Jackson looked like trash last week. I mean, if he's not doing what he does, then the whole Ravens offense just is zero. It was really surprising. I, like most people, thought that was going to be a shootout with him and Mahomes, but it was anything but. Like, the score, they lost by like 10 or 13, but I mean, didn't seem that close at all. Like, they're just getting dominated from start to finish. Kansas City looked amazing per usual, and Baltimore just couldn't do much of anything the entire game.
Yeah, that's kind of good segue here. My standout for sure, obviously, was Patrick Mahomes. I was expecting that game to be a little bit closer, like you said. I didn't think either defense was going to be able to stop the other's offense, but the fact that it was that big of a blowout and he dropped 42 points, something like that. Anytime you're over 30 is a special performance. And the fact that he had like 28 by halftime was absurd. And just you could be up by 20 and that 20-point lead could be gone in one play with him and Tyreek. It's just crazy. So, yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more of an entertaining game, but it just seemed like that one was over at halftime, even though it did kind of finish a little closer, but it just, yeah, that was pretty wild. My letdown, mostly just because he's on my team, but T.Y. Hilton, that offense looks like trash. anything. I mean, Phillip Rivers isn't throwing the ball. I can't remember what the stat was, but the yards per attempt are so abysmal compared to what TY has had in the past. So
I could have told you that 3 weeks ago, David. You're just now realizing that.
dude,
Why
coming off
would you
a
draft Colts in the
1,200-yard
first place?
season.
I don't think anyone cares about T.Y. Hilton or the Colts.
Yeah,
or
Dave,
Phillip
what are you
Rivers.
talking about? This is ridiculous.
I mean, the guy's coming off a 1,200-yard season. I don't know what you expect. He still can do it. He's still really good. It's just I didn't.
All right,
Dude,
we're
Phillip
gonna lose
Rivers was
viewers.
legit last year with Vincent Jackson, like
Phillip Rivers
Keenan,
is
and
washed.
Keenan Allen. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they still had good years, and they're deep threats. No different than Ty.
No.
Get out of here with that.
Keep running with him.
So he's been a little bit of a letdown.
Let's see how that works out for you.
He's getting the targets, but he's just not getting the yards. So it's kind of disappointing because it's 80. His average draft whatever position was, I want to say around, I think, like the 12th wide receiver, something like that. So I mean, tons of fantasy value going into the season by people that are paid to do that, John. So I mean,
I haven't even like really looked at his stats. I assume that he not had a single good game yet. Is he?
no, not really. I'm pretty sure he's been under 80 yards each game with no touchdowns. So
Hard
He's
even
done with Rivers.
yeah, it's been a little depressing just because there's not really any other options on that team. It's all running backs. So
So you kind of
so yeah, it's just a little disappointing. I'm sure he'll bounce back and he'll probably be on a week I don't start him. But yeah, that was my letdown. So
tends to happen that way.
yeah, that's how it always works, right? But anyway, go on to the next topic here. Got a little bit of COVID talk. Rocked the league, obviously, this week, Thursday. Steelers, Titans announced that they're postponing their game to, what was that, week 9? And now they have a week 4 bye. So NFL's having to do some rearranging. Guess to just talk real quick, not per se to our specific situation with our league, but to kind of talk about what you think COVID, how it's going to impact the rest of the season. It kind of seemed like one of those things where you just hoped for the best and just waited for it. It was a ticking time bomb, and it hadn't happened for 3 weeks, so you just hoped it wouldn't. But now it's here. Kind of what do you thoughts, fantasy impact going forward in the NFL? What do you guys think?
I haven't looked at their new, because I think they made new, new regulations on it. But from an outside perspective, I don't think they handled it that well. Going forward, I don't think you can have 3 positive tests and try to rearrange your bye weeks and cancel the game. It's just a recipe for disaster. Like, you can do it in baseball because there's so much extra time to make up games. But in football, like, there's just not. And you can't have a team playing less or more games than another team. Like, everyone has to play the same amount of games. And if you stretch out the season any further, it's going to be a disaster. And luckily, they're able to rearrange the bye week, so it happened to work out. But going forward, it's going to be really dicey if there are, more
Actual postponements.
tests. Yeah, it's
If there's like a week 18, that'd be disastrous.
yeah, like
Especially if you're in the race.
Yeah, I don't see how they can do this same kind of treatment going forward. Like, I understand it, but going forward, I think that you can't postpone or not play unless there's a significant amount of positive tests. Like, that's kind of why you have a practice squad. That's why you got reserves. Like, if you're positive, stay home, let the other guys play type of thing. But I mean, that's obviously an outside perspective looking in on it.
Sure.
They do get tested every day, right? But you can have a negative test and then have it hit you like a couple days later, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, Eric. Just from the very beginning, when the reports were initially they're going to move the game to Monday or Tuesday, I immediately, as soon as I read that, I was thinking, I mean, if you move that to Tuesday, what's the NFLPA going to say when that team has to then travel back home and then play another Sunday game 4 days later? Like,
Yeah.
safety becomes an issue, player health, recovery time, right? And then just, yeah, like you said, there's no move, like it's impossible to move. Luckily for them, it was one team that was impacted with the COVID, 2 teams that had to reschedule. But what's going to happen if that's like 3 or 4 teams?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's just not enough wiggle room in the
No.
schedule with 16 games to
Exactly. And
be
you just
shuffling.
don't have that time to push games back or reschedule games. And like I said, luckily they were just able to move bye weeks, but
Yeah, you can't do double headers like baseball or like
right.
it's not
Yeah.
designed to be changing things around.
Exactly. And, you know, if you think about it, like baseball and to an extent, and football and basketball, right? They're in a bubble a little bit. It's a little bit different. But I mean, you get a couple people with COVID on one team on a 40 or whatever, 30-man roster, whatever it is. And then they're traveling. Like, it's just a nightmare.
And
Even
even
one of
like
those things you just hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, it's going to be nuts.
But even like college football, like let's say if UW was still like if the Pac-12 was playing right now, or Pac-10 or whatever they are now, like if UW doesn't play a game 1 week, it's not a big deal, you know,
Right.
in terms of like their postseason aspirations. Like they can still go to a bowl game and whatever. But if you miss like 1 or 2 games in the NFL and like don't play them, like setting up for the playoffs is just impossible. Like you can't.
Well, they'd have to go to like what baseball did and go like a win percentage type situation.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do it. But it's
But there's not enough games to have that
exactly
be viable.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
So it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully it pans out and it just doesn't happen anymore. And it's just kind of a bummer, you know, with kind of how things had been going. You think they would have been a little bit more prepared for it, like not have to wait a day to then announce what was happening, like for just more positive cases to pop up. Like you think that they would be like a statement made right away, like this is what we're doing. Like,
yeah, you figure going into it, they would have had a plan going forward. Like if there's 5 or more tests, like positive tests on a certain team, then then we're going to go this way. Or if there's only 2 positive tests, then we're just going to go forward with it.
Especially being the 3rd sport or 4th major sport. NHL, basketball, MLB have already started and gone through, and the NFL had the luxury of being the last one and not doing a preseason and all that stuff. They had all that extra time to kind of plan for this. And
it's hard to figure that they wouldn't expect that this wouldn't happen type of thing.
Right.
It seems pretty obvious that at a certain point that it would.
Right.
But,
yeah, I agree. Anything, John, to add to that, or?
No.
All right, good. Appreciate it. Thanks for it. Okay, so I guess that being said,
well covered.
Hopefully it just goes away and we won't have to worry about it again. But what everyone's here for, right? Jumping into the week 4 matchups. Lot to cover here. It's been a couple weeks since we talked about each team, all that stuff. So
we should cover the standings for the picks before we do anything else.
We can do that if you want. Eric, what do you got? We'll go with the standings.
Since we did not do them last week, let's take a peek. I mean,
only 8 potential wins for each person.
Before we get into this, do we want to make a side bet for the end of the year?
Yes.
Of course you do, John.
Or maybe we can let the rest of the league determine what the bet is. That might be fun. They can vote on it.
If they even listen, they didn't even know we did this.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
At this
Russell
point,
will come on next week, I bet.
They can decide.
Yeah,
I like that.
Make it fun. At this point, John is 6-2. I'm 4-4, and David is 3-5. Our guest the other week was Sean, and he went 1-3.
Oof.
Sounds about right. Stick to Neopets.
Oh.
And I suppose if we do have like a thing for the loser, we'll do it by our win percentage since there won't be a guest every week. And maybe if the guest picks have the worst lose percentage or winning percentage, then maybe they might have to do something like the rest of the league. Who knows? But yeah, so far John is 6-2. I'm 4-4, and David is 3-5.
I'm a late bloomer. All right. That being said, we can jump into the week matchups. Eric, you want to pull up Sean versus Brosna, the undefeateds, both 3-0, squaring off today, this week.
Yeah. Looks like it's the.
These are their starters.
These are their starters. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in. Eric or John, I'll let you guys start.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, John.
I'll take Sean. I mean, I think it's a simple win. Yeah. End of story. Yeah, end of story. Like, I mean, Brosnan's starting Myles Gaskin. Brosnan's best player is his kicker.
That being said, it's actually a pretty interesting matchup. Obviously, both of these teams are 3-0 right now. The Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson matchup is probably the most intriguing, just in terms of Kyler Murray being kind of like the next Russell Wilson with his throwing ability and his legs. I'm pretty sure he has like 3 rushing touchdowns already this year. I'm not a huge fan of like Gurley's kind of getting it going. Not a huge fan of Joe Mixon at this point. Amari Cooper's playing well, and obviously Lockett is killing it right now for the Hawks. Like John said, it's tough when Myles Gaskin is your second running back, but he's their number 1 running back in Miami, so it's like he's still going to get the carries, and he didn't play that bad last week. DK is emerging as a number 1, and obviously you have the clear number 1, DeAndre Hopkins. I think, and obviously Robert Woods is legit. Like, I've always liked him. I'm going to go Brosna this week.
Yeah, when I look at this matchup, I see Russell Wilson on Brosna's team. I see Tyler Lockett on Sean's. I see Kyler Murray on Sean's, and I see DeAndre on Brosna's. So, I mean, that 1-2 connection, I mean, that's going to be big. Kyler Murray to every Kyler Murray, DeAndre is points for both. Every Russell to Tyler Lockett is points for both. So, I don't know. It's going to kind of depend who has the bigger day between those two. But that being said, I hate Brosna's running backs. Antonio Gibson on one of the worst teams against Baltimore. Potential offense to score 30. That game could be game flow, which means Antonio Gibson won't get as many carries. And then Myles Gaskin, I mean, he's going up against the Seahawks. So, again, similar kind of situation. The Seahawks could bomb it out, get a lead early, and kind of take Gaskin out of it. So, I could see that being a really bad situation for his starting running backs. But like you said, DK, DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, that's potential 2 number 1s right there, the way they've been playing. And Robert Woods, I mean, that's a number 1 for LA. So, I mean, he's got some solid wide receivers playing well, and they got favorable matchups. DK against Miami, DeAndre versus Carolina, and Robert Woods versus the Giants. So, I mean, that could easily be 3 20-point players. But I think, you know, Nick Chubb, Todd Gurley, Amari Cooper, Lockett. I think I like Sean in this one. I think Kyler Murray is going to be similar-ish to Russell, and I think the running backs are going to be the difference in this. So yeah, I'm going to go with Sean.
At this point for me, I'm not picking against Russell until he proves me wrong. Like,
I mean, he's playing out of his mind, and with how good DK and Lockett have been, I don't see any reason for that to change. Those guys have been playing out of their minds. Deep balls everywhere. So you're not wrong. But, yeah. It'll be interesting to see who comes out of this one. I think it'll be close, but yeah. I think I like Sean.
Be interesting.
Next matchup, we got Adam 0-3 and Marcus 2-1. Eric, I'll let you start since John's going to say that he likes one team or the other, and that's it.
I'll think a little.
Okay, there we go. I'll give you time. That's why I went with Eric.
Appreciate that. I need a lot of time to think.
I kind of want to go with Adam right now. It's gonna be interesting. Like, I think he has a better team. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up if Adams ever started a year 0-4. I'm sure the statisticians can ring that up for us real quick at a certain point. But
This one's do or die.
yeah, and also I know there's one year I started out 0-3, but rattled off 3 in a row and kind of got back into it. But I mean, if you start out 0-4, I think your chances are pretty slim making it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I don't think Adams done much in the past, 10 years, so it's not really saying much.
Adam's been washed for a long time. Nothing new.
Yeah, and the past couple of weeks, we've obviously said that Marcus has kind of had the team to beat since he stayed way healthier than Souza. But
Who is he
Quick
subbing
stat
Tyler?
for you. Quick
Go
stat
ahead.
for you, Eric. I had something prepared for last week. Only 5 times in Cascade Classic history has a team gone 0-2 and made the playoffs, and only 3 times. And only 3 times has a team gone 0-3 and made the playoffs. So, little fact for you.
5 times for 0-2.
Yep.
wow, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Wow, that is surprising. 5 times in 15 years, someone has started. Wow, it's incredible. That means most seasons, if you start 0-2, you're not making the playoffs.
That's why the magic number is always 6.
Jeez.
You get to 6 and you're pretty much in.
Not unless you're me last year.
No, so I said pretty much, John. Sorry, I missed half of that. I had to go find my notes from last week because I wanted to share that stat when I brought it up.
I'm going Adam. He needs a win. I like the Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones going against Atlanta. That's going to be a high-scoring game. I look for Rodgers to put up 30-plus, Aaron Jones to put up 25. It's going to be a 45-52 type of game, I think. It's going to be huge. So give me Adam. Odell is probably going to bounce back against Dallas. That's going to be a high-scoring game too. Keenan Allen against Tampa Bay. That's probably going to be high-scoring as well. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Give me Adam to the upset.
Who is Tyler Boyd starting over? That must mean Marcus has someone injured.
Juju probably
Yeah.
is on his bench. So without scrolling
Well,
down.
I think Marcus has the better team, but his matchups this week are impossible. I mean, the Raiders are playing Buffalo, and Patrick Mahomes is playing New England. And then Chicago's defense looks really good, and Jonathan Taylor's at Chicago. So I can't believe I'm saying this. I'll take Adam. No, wait. Let me decide a little longer. David, you go first.
Let's see here. When I look at Marcus's team, I see Mahomes versus New England. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't expect Kansas City to put up points. So, I mean, you got that 1-2 punch. But I look at the rest of the matchups, and I see Jonathan Taylor against a pretty good Chicago run defense. I see Josh Jacobs against a really good Buffalo team. Darren Waller against a pretty good Buffalo team. Obviously, Juju not being there means he's got to start a Tyler Boyd. It's really hard to go against Mahomes and Hill on the same team. Looking at Adam's team, love Aaron Rodgers. Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones are huge. He's going to need more from his wide receivers. Galladay hopefully can come out and strong. Making his second start. He did his first start last week, 11.7 points, 50 yards and a tutty. So you got to like that. OBJ hopefully has a bounce back week. Struggled again last week. That offense is just so hit or miss, it seems like. And then Keenan Allen. This is as close to a 50-50, I feel like, for me. But I think I'm going to go with Adam. I think Dalvin and Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers will get it done for him.
All right, I'll take Marcus.
Sounds good. On to the next one.
On to the next one, we got Horrender 2-1 versus Eric 1-2. So Eric, you can have your say if you like on Horrender's team.
No, I'm good.
Talk a little bit about yours if you want, but that's the next matchup.
And I guess I assume you guys already saw that notice.
Oh, I'll take a render. Wow.
What was the notice?
10 minutes.
10 minutes
Okay.
left?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, let's go.
Well, that's great because this is a really easy one to pick, so this won't take us much time.
Oh, and what was you guys' last one? I guess I can ask later.
I took Marcus.
I took Adam.
Okay.
John, go ahead.
I mean,
Started.
it's so obvious. Like Eric's team is completely, just obliterated. His season's over. Unfortunately, you can't trade for future round draft picks. So Herndon's going to win. By several points.
I, too, am going to go with Horrender on this one.
Sorry, Eric.
Calvin Ridley, out of his mind. Austin Eckler back at it.
Calvin, wait, what?
What did I say?
Say Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue talking.
I'm confused. What's so funny about that?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
The number one position ranked wide receiver in the game at the moment?
Yeah, all right.
Rankings don't matter.
2020, 11.
We'll see
Back-to-back weeks.
Points don't matter either.
You're right. Points don't matter.
The
I
eyeball test.
got Horrender. Josh Allen can outscore Deshaun Watson.
Eric, you can't tell me you're taking yourself. This is bad.
Hey, we're running out of time. It's simple.
Okay, next game.
You guys got it wrong. All right.
I'm going to be 4-0 this week.
All right. Sorry, Eric. Like your team, but Horrender,
Okay.
I like that.
You'll like it even more after I win.
Next matchup, we got John 1-2 versus Matt 1-2. Eric, we'll start with you.
Well, I just got done whooping Matt's ass, so it's gonna be hard to pick him. Obviously, Dak is gonna put up his numbers against Cleveland, and Miles Sanders is gonna have a tough time against San Fran. James Robinson at Cincinnati, I don't like it as well. It's pretty. John's starting 2 running backs from the same team.
That'll change.
That I'm not too happy about. But assuming Devontae Adams gets in there, I like John.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm not sure why he doesn't have Devontae Adams in there running routes
He's not gonna
today in
play.
the media. It's a Monday night game. He's playing.
No,
So
he's not.
he is. So he's going to be in there instead of Latavius. So, Kamara and Drew Brees at Detroit, they're going to score a ton of points. So either way, you're going to be getting a lot, going to be double dipping. Plus, you're going to have Devontae at Atlanta just having a field day against that horrible defense. I like John in this one.
I don't even think there's a single person on Matt's team that I would start in front of any of my players.
I would take Adam Thielen
No, that's terrible.
over
That's
Brandon Cooks. Yeah, that's
No,
terrible. Brandon
that's
Cooks
awful.
is terrible.
I don't know why you would take Adam Thielen in that matchup.
And I'd probably take Dak over Drew Brees. So
And we are on to David and Souza. It looks
the
like.
final matchup, yeah. So you guys have at it. Me 1-2 versus Steven 1-2 with a Melvin Gordon 25 spot from Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, I got David. Steven is all of a sudden not looking so good without some key players. Yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, Steven's pretty much done. I said it earlier in the week in the Facebook thread. I tried to throw him a bone to salvage his year. Pretty fair trade request. But he didn't want to budge, didn't want to send me a counteroffer because whatever reason, he's probably done, like I said. I see.
Really?
What's that?
Oh, sorry. I was imitating the president who interrupted on all the. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I see Steven losing big, and I see him losing big again in November.
Wow.
Yeah, he might not win another game. I'm not
Wow.
sure. John, hopefully you've got his money now.
No, I don't. We're not going to get Steven's
This
money.
man might not pay with how bad his team's going to be.
Oh, he's definitely not going to pay. Yeah, we're not going to get Steven's money this year.
Because he might not score over 90 again until McCaffrey gets back. But by that time, he's going to be done. Like I mean,
so over-invested in Houston.
He needs to ship Lamar.
This sounds like a trade request.
Needs to ship Lamar before Sunday, or a decent quarterback, or just pick one up for waivers, and someone at running back and at wide receiver that he can start with confidence. And apparently he's not willing to do that.
I don't know if you can really trust your advice since you're the one trying to make this trade.
Terry McLaurin?
Scary Terry, man. Scary Terry. Wait, is the Ohio State quarterback starting still for Washington?
Cascade.
Oh yeah, they went to school together. Yeah, that's not a bad. I don't mind that start. What I do mind is Jeff Wilson.
He better pray that Chris Carson is healthy and actually get snaps.
I mean, Terry McLaurin's not having a terrible year. I mean, he's the 13th ranked quarterback with 30 or wide receiver with 30-some points, 270 yards and a touchdown.
207. Damn, yeah. I'd be more worried about the Houston players though, because they do not look good. That offense does not look good, and he has 2 starters. Those are week-to-week starters, right? He's starting Will Fuller week to week.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. You can't be starting Will Fuller.
We talked about it week 1. He has 0 depth, and 1 injury would kill him, and it did. Unless Lamar starts putting up 40 points a game, he's going to struggle. And he showed it last week.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you go back and watch the tape. I'm pretty sure we all picked him to be towards the top when you have Christian McCaffrey and Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately for him, Christian McCaffrey got hurt.
When you asked who our top 3 are, I told you my top 3, and then I said the dark horse is Steven.
Yeah.
But I mean, it might not pan out.
You take the number 1 away from anybody's team, especially if they drafted early, probably going to be in a similar boat. So it's just unfortunate that it was McCaffrey. But there's no denying he has less depth than most teams going in. Right.
Had I lost my number 1, which I did this week, I'm still semi-viable.
Yeah, I agree.
That being said, we're at a minute 10 with
minute 10, the final send-off here.
I don't know. Yeah. The outro you got.
My outro, yeah. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here.
We went through all of them, right? Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's everything. So yeah, already reviewed the picks. Time to wrap it up. Hopefully COVID doesn't continue to be a factor, and that's pretty much all we got. We'll talk next week. Hopefully we'll have a special guest. We'll be able to have another sit down for week 5, see the picks, how they panned out, and that's all we got. Always a pleasure talking with you boys. And as Sal Palantonio likes to say,
can't wait.
Don't disconnect. Can I say something?
Yeah, you better get after it.
You're still recording.
All right, guys. Anything can happen with COVID, but as long as we work together, we can solve any problem.
All right.
Words of assurance.
Love it.
Okay.